How are you, brother?
Doing all right, trying to get my background set up.
How's my sound?
Good.
I finally got a mic that actually works. So
Got a hot mic.
trying to, brother. How was your Christmas?
It was good, man. It was good. We had some time just settle in and relax.
Does everybody come to you? Do you have to go everywhere else?
No, they all came to us. It was
Nice,
good.
nice.
We usually do a pancake breakfast for my family. So everybody comes and we'll have, you know, quick and easy pancakes and eggs and bacon and, feed the army kind of thing. And then we used to do a dinner, in the evening. My wife's family would come by and we'd do like a ham or turkey or something like that. And this year, her parents decided they wanted to come at breakfast too. So we did everybody at breakfast and got it all done with, and everybody out of the
Oh,
house by noon.
that's real good. Um, we got out of town a little bit. Went to a cabin, snuck away for a minute, and
Oh yeah,
then came back. Yep, nothing too major. I got a chance to speak at our winter conference, which was in Asheville, North Carolina, at the Grove Park Inn. Pretty highfalutin place where all the board meets at the end of the year and the trustees. So I had a chance to speak there, and they have a really nice, like high end resort spa there. So in between working, I hid and slipped away for the day, took mama to the spa, and that was kind of our Christmas to each other. And then traveled a little bit. My mom had some knee surgery, so stuck around close to the house for her. And that's it, man. I tell you, I don't know what's happening. And we say it all the time, but it's getting scary, man. Life is just smoking by. Like this year was so fast for me. I don't know how it was for you. It was
hmm
it's nuts,
yeah,
nuts.
it's the same.
Think about it. I don't like
I think it's the thing that you get older, man. I think that's what it is.
I don't like it. I don't care for it because it's only going to get faster, I think. And
Yeah.
like literally, just like it was March just yesterday, and we were doing our own rodeo stuff, and spring and summer's gone, and now it's like, yeah, next week's January, back to the grind. I'm looking at my calendar now, just there we
hmm
go again. I don't know
Plus,
what's happening.
I get this weird thing this time of year where I get like kind of stuck in the mud a little bit with all the downtime and you're not engaged and people, you're not going to meetings, you're not on calls, you're not around the guys, all that stuff. And then you get thrown back into it. You feel like you're like disoriented a little bit.
Dude, staying self motivated in a month like this, in a couple weeks like this, with vacation, which is all good and healthy, but then I totally know what you're saying because coming back today, just this cold Monday on the 29th, and the work office is kind of a ghost town, and I don't have meetings for another week and a half, and yeah, getting motivated is rough, bro.
How was your holidays, man? Guess you
Uh,
celebrated Christmas with your family, didn't you?
I did. So I have a I have a daughter whose birthday is on the 24th. So that's uh, it's a little crazy. I have a younger son who his birthday is on the 22nd. So we have to celebrate it all together.
What? Man, that's pretty interesting. You
Yes,
plan it that
yes.
way?
That's what I tell my wife. That's right.
December is an expensive month for
It
you,
is.
my friend.
Yeah, it is.
He could play it to his advantage, though, right?
I don't know.
Say,
Yeah,
I
look,
got a kid.
he could say,
I
look,
got a
dude, I
kid.
got you something really nice, man, for your birthday Christmas combo. That's all you're getting.
My
yeah.
son
Well,
was born on
I
the
can do that
18th,
with
so
my son. Yes, I can do that with my son, but with my daughter, I can't. She
Nah,
definitely wants both.
that's right. Well, hey, we're already recording, man. We just kind of loosely roll into this thing. We're not trying to be presumptuous about it. We're just a couple dudes, just like yourself, that are in, the line of trade, and we have this responsibility for other people's safety. And so This thing's all about a peer cast. That's how we kind of frame it, right? None of us are experts at any of this stuff. We're just a couple guys hanging out. We've had different experiences. A lot of my experience has been in the investor owned space. Worked for an investor owned utility for most of my career, was a contractor before that, was contractor after that. And now I work for an organization that represents contractors. And of course, Micah can give you his rundown, but, we're just regular dudes, man, just like yourself. So we're glad to have you.
Yeah, yeah, appreciate that for sure. Yeah, I mean, I myself I started out since high school, really, youth apprenticeship program, and went to be a mechanic. That's how I started, and then went to be a meter reader for a couple years. Went into the line crew for about 19 years almost, and now I'm in this role. Been going on for 3 years almost.
So you say were you a fleet mechanic? Is that how you started out?
Yes, played an internship through high school. But
Oh,
yeah,
okay. That's a good skill to have, knowing how to turn a wrench. One of these trucks
yeah,
breaks
yeah.
down.
Still love to work on my own cars for sure.
So all in all, total, brother, that was like 19 and 3 and a little bit of mechanic work. What's the total number and all at one utility, all at one
Yeah,
place, or
so I started in '01 is when I started, right out of high school.
gotcha,
Yep, close to 25, I guess now.
25. So you graduated '01. So I graduated '02. So right there behind you.
Yep.
A little industrial work before I jumped into the trades and landed at a co-op. And 3 years now in a safety professional role. Kind of like myself and Mike. Mike's got definitely more skin in the game for sure. I'm
Yeah,
January.
yeah.
January be 4 years for me, man. So how did you fall into that role, man? Coming off the line crew real quick. Was it one of those things that you've been thinking about for a long time, or a voluntold, or what was it?
No, so there's a good friend of mine that he was in the role before me. Mike actually probably knows him. His name is Jeremy G. I know we started talking about it a little bit, and we realized that he was at the TND conference in '24, and that's where So me and him have been friends for a long time. He got into the role before I did, and was already kind of working on it, trying to get to this role, but I thought I had a little bit more time. There were some unexpected things with my previous predecessor, and so the position came open, and I was ready for it.
Tag, you're it.
Yep, pretty much.
Yeah, like a ready or not situation.
So it sounds like you kind of had it in the back of your mind that you wanted to do safety. You're just waiting for the opportunity to pop in. Is that right? Or
Yeah, I was waiting for some people to retire. I thought I had more time, but like I said, there was some things that happened with the previous person, and I was just ready. I mean, there was probably about 16 applicants. And, I just happened to get the role.
let me ask you guys something. How often do you hear linemen on a crew talking about, "Hey, I think I could be a safety man"? Do you ever hear that?
It's rare.
I've never heard anybody outright say it. You can, I think, you guys agree or disagree. I think you can see a guy who maybe fits the bill or maybe does the things under the radar behind the scenes, or how he runs a crew or runs a truck and some of the things he'll do. Or like for me, Mike, you can see them because they're about the only guys who will talk in a meeting, who feel comfortable enough to speak up. What do you guys think? I think you can see them, but I've never met a guy who was just like, can't wait to grow up and be a safety nerd. Here I come.
Yeah, no, definitely not. So now I have a 19-year-old son who works for another co-op now. He just started, and he definitely told me. He said, "Dad, nobody likes the safety guy." I was like, "Great," but I did tell him. I said, "You know what? At the end of the day, I guess I do care, but I don't care if it means that you go home safe."
Yeah, it's a weird stigma. And, a lot of it I think is because line work is sexy, right? Rock and roll, we're gonna get this done, son. Let's get it
Yeah.
done. And safety is always seen as some just maybe not the person, maybe not the safety person, but the safety effort seems to slow the job down, right? You're setting more requirements that they probably wanted to do, maybe a little more cover, maybe a little bit more traffic control, maybe a little bit more visibility, but they're put a vest on, brother, hey, slip on your safety glasses, worried about your eyes. They just see this as like, somebody sort of interjecting themselves into a work site and slowing them down. I think that's probably part of it.
And the
Yeah.
narrative built around it, has always been that negative guy, that disconnected guy, that compliance only guy, that rule book guy. And Mike, you and I are pushing up against some of that and trying to reshape that with like the guys in our CLCP class and some of the training that we do now, because it's so much more about relationships. Everything is about relationships, and at the heart of it, you can affect people so much more and get a lasting outcome if you have a relationship versus just there he is, here comes the safety guy. And Jose, I think, one of the advantages that the guys like us have, and tell me what you think, is coming off the line from doing the work. I think that helps gain some respect and carry some weight with the guys. What do you see?
Yeah, definitely. That is one thing, because it's fresh right now, 3 years into this role. I still have I went from one district to another, so I got to meet a lot more linemen, worked with a bunch more people, and that's one thing I tell my son and I tell the guys that I worked with is I can actually, with my head held high, I can say I cared about you guys to go home safe. I did the job the way we were supposed to. Might have taken a little bit more time, but we did it safe. So I think that definitely holds weight of people knowing, you don't just say it. You actually were up in the bucket with them, sweating, climbing with them, whatever they needed. But I certainly agree. I think one of the things that I'm working on right now is to not only build good linemen, but build men. There's a lot of new, younger kids. I guess I could say that now, because a lot of these kids that are coming in, some of them, I guess they just don't have it, and they need that leadership role, but not only in line crew, but as men. And that's what I'm trying to get to work on. I don't know about y'all's faith, and I don't know if we can even talk about that at all, but that kind of, to me, that holds a lot of where it taught me, how to be that and to work the way that I work. And, I don't know how much time we got, but part of my story of where I'm at is because of this guy that I work with now. The other guy that I mentioned, Jamie, he was the one that actually shared with me, and that's where I became to know the Lord in faith, and that's what I live by. And so I think a lot of that was shown out in the field, and I think that's where I want to be able to bring that to some of these men, to bring these kids to that too.
Sounds a lot like servant leadership to me.
Man, there's so much overlap there, brother, that you're going to discover if you haven't already, about leadership and what we have the opportunity to do with this thing called safety. And man, Mike and I have talked about this a lot, man, just about this generation doesn't have the exposure to the old guys, or just the old moral compass, or the old right way and wrong way to just dress and look and talk and be a professional. It's crazy what we've lost in a generation that we're going to absolutely lose if guys like you, Mike, and a lot of other guys out there who listening or that we know don't start fighting up against it. So kudos to you, man. I think it's definitely something needed. I was talking to a foreman this morning about a thing I'm trying to work on now for a new presentation about, would you listen to you? The way you look, the way you carry yourself, the way you operate, would you? It can't all just be this next generation's the problem. Who's the example? Mike talks a lot about this with the role model that you can be out there on the job or as a safety guy.
One of the things gets in our ways is we put a tag on ourselves. That's why when we started talking about the safety, who wants to be a safety person? And the term safety just turns people off right away, right? So some of my presentations, I always talk about safety is really not a thing that you can point to. It's a condition. It's an end result. And the same thing could be said with how productive we are on a job site, or how much we care about our work product, how it looks. Is it built to the standard? Are we squaring up our washers? That kind of stuff. And some of it is how we interact with other people and show leadership. And I bet you if we put a think tank together, we could boil it down to probably a handful of characteristics that it doesn't matter what you do, whatever your role is in your organization, doesn't matter what it is. If you have those characteristics, you're probably leading in some way. So, in my circles, the people I run into, like the folks that we're staring at on this screen here today, we're people that care. It seems like people who care either gravitate towards a safety role or a trainer role, or maybe they're an ops and they're that leader that really cares about their men and make sure that they're taken care of. That's what we're after. How do we get people to care? And Jose, it sounds like, based on your mentor and what you're trying to do with your career here now, you're trying to pay it forward a little bit.
Yes, absolutely. That is one thing that got to say. I mean, part of my upbringing now is, I remember I was 24 when I came to faith, and again, that mindset of changing the way that I viewed things. I worked for myself. I didn't care what anybody else thought, how they perceived me, and that changed the moment that happened to where, you start reading and it says that you're supposed to be doing everything with excellence. I'm like, well, man, if I can do that and then show other people, even to the point where I feel like that's the reason why my son got this position where he's at is, he'll tell me, he'll call me and say, Dad, this is what's going on. This is what they're doing. And I'm like, look, just keep wearing your safety gear, keep wearing your PPE, keep doing the right thing. Even if nobody else sees it, I'm proud of you, but somebody else sees it. And, first and foremost, I think you got to look at yourself and say, am I doing this right? Just like Micah said, would I listen to myself? And, if I can leave the day and say, I left that job 100%, I gave it my all, and everybody went home safe, not only did we learn how to do and build the job, but we took something from it. And that's what I was striving for is, hey, how's your family? I'm not saying let's sit there and talk 3 hours of the day. We still have a job to do, but how's your family? How's your kids? Anything I can pray for you, anything I can do for you, and really be there and actually doing it. All that goes hand in hand.
Man, that's good stuff. You're going to get me all excited now. Get me on my soapbox for sure, because again, our backgrounds are pretty similar, and Mike included, with just how intentional we have to be for this thing to really be effective. And it can be so much more than rules, because we're talking about people. And it's beautiful to hear you say some of the stuff you've already been able to, grab a hold of. Written on the front of my good book, my Bible, is character is who you are when nobody's looking.
That's right.
Man, are you going to do the right things when nobody's around? Does it matter who's around? Are you only doing it because certain people are around? And the history part of it, Mike, if you remember this, we talked about in the handbook. What's written in the handbook, was self-possession. The first thing you got to have self-possession. You got to own it. And man, I love that you're encouraging your son too to say, don't care, don't worry about everybody else. You're going to get the name Captain Co-op. You're going to get the name, whatever. They're going to stigma and label you. To Mike's point, hey, I'm good with that label. I'm good with that. Captain Co-op got me where I'm at today. So kudos to you two for encouraging that and being aware of that, because that's a real thing.
It is tough. Well, go ahead, Paul or Jose.
What I was going to say is that one of the things that the vision, you just said it, you have to own it. And one of the things I always remember is that when you go rent a car, you take it, you bring it back. You don't detail it. You don't wash it. You don't change the oil. You don't do anything with it because it's not yours. But if it's yours, you're going to take care of that vehicle. You're going to maintain it. You're going to change the oil, all that stuff. So you really do have to own that vision of, hey, this is, for instance, for us, I work at co-op, Jackson EMC, and that's the name of the co-op. And one of the things that I tell people when I'm teaching is, you are representing the company when you go out on everything you do. But it goes way deeper than that. You have to own it. You have to say, this is the place. It's our money, at the end of the day. So if we throw it away, then all of us lose. So.
Well, that was some of the
But I
things
like
we're
that.
missing with these old timers, right? These old timers set the standard in a way that I think we've lost a lot of that. They set the tone on the job, how you showed up for work. Micah talked about how you dressed, your boots laced up, ready to go. You're got the ice truck, truck's iced down. You got material loaded up, belly's cleaned off from the day before. You're ready to go, right? And the foreman walks out, he's got his job package, ready to go do your work. And that foreman had high expectations. And then when you show up at the job site, that person took a lot of time to explain what you're about to do. And so those foremen, they run their job a certain way. You have your material laid out, you're getting it all inspected, you're making sure everybody's ready to go. They confirm understanding they've been around and seen enough things go sideways. They can see that deer in the headlights look from their crew members. They're getting some sort of confirmation that everybody's ready to get with it. And they know how to control a job to where it starts getting a little bit out of control. Somebody's getting ready to work themselves into a box or set a trap for somebody. They're able to pull you back in a little bit. So, with that lack of experience and expertise and sort of like what's happened to our trade where it's kind of, I always use the term sexy because that's what it feels like to me. The guys look at it like it's a sexy, rock and roll, like I'm a rock and roll star, everybody, all eyes on me. I'm making a bunch of money. I'll come in, I'll call the shots, I'll drag up and I'll go somewhere tomorrow. And I mean, that's a certain element, but we still have those guys out there that care and dedicate themselves to the trade. And, we've said on this Peercast, I always mess up, call it a podcast. We're trying to stick to the Peercast. You get out of it what you put in it. Like it's like a bank account. You can bankrupt your bank account if all you're doing is making withdrawals or taking withdrawals. And if you're never depositing anything through your effort or through your contributions, you just eventually the trade will get to the point where I think we're starting to see some of these problems that we're having are associated with that. So it's not just merely about complying with safety rules or following direction. It's about how are you setting a tone on the job site and a standard that moves people forward, right? A positive influence. So my question, I guess, for this group is how do you build a team? How do you get people lined up behind you? Because it's a lot of work to do for just one person. So Jose, when you get out there, how do you build sort of like a safety team to get out there and tackle some of these things?
So part of what I've done, and again, I'm new to the role here, 3 years in, and I say new, but part of what I've done is taken what John Maxwell has said is you invest in people, and I love the way he presents it. He's like, my name is John, and I'm your friend. I'm here to help you. So, you take that and you invest in people, saying, hey, calling out when they do stuff right, when they don't do the right things either. And, again, using the good book, using the Bible, right, that talks about that a open rebuke is better than, one that's hidden behind. I'm going to tell you the truth, and I think I've always been upfront. Hey, you need a little more work on this. You need to tighten up over here. And, but I invest on one person at a time, and then they invest on the next. I know when I would get new apprentices, I would always make sure that I would get their phone number, get their name, get, as much information as was needed, take them under and say, hey, I'm going to show you how all this is done. Some of the other linemen would look at that and say, okay, I want some of that action, and they would take that and invest in the next guy. And I would take the crew leader from another crew and say, this is what I'm doing. And so they would take that and run with it. something so simple. I mean, I know maybe it might be silly, but something so simple to where I transferred over to another district, and I could see that there was no unity. I mean, nobody. This group was over here, and that group was over here, and so what I started doing is I started doing cookouts. Whenever the rain day, a rain day where we knew we were going to be there, and so I would call the place and I would say, hey, I need this much meat, I need this stuff, and then I started just bringing in people, and I did that for about 2 months. That I was investing it with my own money, I was doing it, and so then I stopped a little bit, and then they came to me and they were like, hey man, can we pitch in for this? How can we do this again? And to this day they're still doing that, and I'm not there. So I think investing in the people, making sure that you care, is the way that you bring them.
Man, that's awesome. I heard a lot. There's a lot to kind of dissect with that. And part of me just wants to jump into like the cookout thing. But man, for anybody out there listening, what Jose just spelled out was you were looking. You saw that there was something wrong. And it was beyond the nuts and bolts. It was beyond the spec book. It was beyond everything else. You could feel it. You said when you got to that district, it was just something there. And number one, looking, seeing that, but then going, something's got to give. Man, that takes some guts, dude. That takes a sense of awareness that you have on a personal level and on a professional level to identify those things and see them and then not miss them and name those challenges and then to step out and do it. Man, kudos to you, bro. That's what it takes. It takes real courage and actual physical action. It's not lip service. Micah
and it's authentic
all the time.
Yeah, it's authentic, right?
Well,
I mean, that's what the guys are picking up on, phony. And, we used to have a term at my utility at the shop where I used to work. Don't eat the pizza because that was obligatory pizza. If you eat the pizza, they're gonna work you all night long. It was a negative thing. Like when management would get you some pizzas, it was perceived as a negative thing because it was just people going through the paces. All right, I better get these guys some pizza if they're gonna be sitting around holding them for storm or whatever it was that we were doing. And the guys can see through that. And so you took it upon yourself. You said you used your own money. And so, sometimes things that we want to do to get support for our people takes some financial help. And, how do we engage with management to say, hey, listen, I need some money to have a cookout or to get some t-shirts or to get I need a squirrel t-shirt. You know what I mean? How do you do that to get your management to support some of your initiatives?
Well, when I did it, I actually, it's funny you mentioned that because I actually went to the marketing people, some of them that I knew, and I went and said, hey, do you guys have any kind of free gifts? And so we were doing raffles, just handing out the ticket. Hey, you win it, you win it. There's nothing involved that you need to put. So, but that, I will say it wasn't easy. The first couple times that I did it, I actually had to go to where they were sitting in their truck or in their office, their little cubicle, and I actually had to go get them. And at first they were like, no, I'm good. And, I just said, hey, it'd be cool if you came, you don't have to give me anything. There's no money involved. Just come on. And, by the third time that we did it, I could see, there's a group of 50 linemen in that district and every single one of them was there.
Wow.
So,
So what do you do when you have these guys all together? What do? You just eat or you do cover some topics or what's your plan?
No. So, yeah, so we, that was another part of it. I was big in the rodeo myself. Used to be a competitor and coach. So some of that stuff that's kind of how it started too. They started asking questions. Hey, what did you do here? Can you show us some of your tricks? And that's kind of how I started. And then it was like, well, hey, let me show you. Have you ever thought about this? We started bringing a cross arm with an insulator and teaching them how to tie wire to the ones who didn't know. Hey, have you we set up under the awning. It's pretty high, so let's put a switch in a fuse barrel there, and hey, let's do it. It's windy. It's perfect situation here. Open up that barrel, bring it down. And that's kind of just the topic started flowing. But yeah, I mean, we started asking questions, and then some people from other contractors, they would say, well, here's how we did it here, and this is how we did it. And they would pitch in with some stuff. And, line work is not about one person knowing it. It's about a group of people saying, hey, I've done this. I went on call and that didn't work. Let me show you what happened. And here's what did work.
A little humility.
Oh man, I gotta throw in a cheesy quote any chance I get, Starner.
Come on.
Collective trial and error is far greater than the careful planning of lone genius. Man, Jose, that's a mouthful just to say you just made a safe space. That was it.
Yeah.
And you made a space that was cool. And it was okay to get out of your cubicle, and it was okay to get out of your truck. And man, that's so big. That's so big. And the fact that they're still doing it when you're gone, did anybody out there listening, did it work? Yeah. Yeah, it did. It did. Nice job, brother.
That's pretty awesome. So what are you guys looking at? Sorry, Micah, go ahead.
No,
man.
you're good. You're good.
I get the jabbering.
No, right. And I want to throw him something before we get off. What's next? Man, in your role now, what do you see? You're in a new room. You're in a new space. What have you already walked into that new district and said, something's off? What's the future look like? What's 2026 look like?
Yeah, well, I was actually talking to my son about, my wife, and so a couple of things that we got that I kind of want to see is you got to start building the next person. I keep asking them, okay, well, if something were to happen to me, who's ready? Who's the next guy? And so if maybe it didn't happen to me that way, where somebody came and said, hey, I see potential in you to be the next safety guy. Here's some of the tools that you need to start looking into. I kind of took that on my own with the help of, the guy that I work with, but I want to be able to say, hey, here's some things that you can do, start setting up on what's next. But again, I think to me is the whole thing is, can I, build right men as well? I feel like we're losing that, men to be, I know it sounds, I don't even know how to explain it, but to build men, building men, the Bible actually says that, act like a man. 1 Corinthians, I think, is where it says that. But, to take care of your family, to work, but also to have that, I wish I would have been a little bit more on that note of not working too much. There was times where I could have, but I was like, I can't leave these guys hanging. I came in every single time. And, there's nothing wrong with taking some time and saying, hey, not today. I need to spend time with my family. I need to spend time with, good people. One of the things that I tell my son is, and I know it sounds harsh, but I tell him, you got to stop surrounding yourself with the losers. They're just going to drag you down. I mean, I know it's harsh, but if, it is said that if you show me 5 people that you're with, you're probably going to be the 6th one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's old saying that, eagles don't hang around with turkeys.
That's right.
I love it. I love it. And, just for my 2 cents, which doesn't matter, it's not you're throwing those people away. It's not that we're any better than anybody else, but it's just the exposure you have to them. And your son can be an influence on those turkeys. Like Mike said too. And so there's a balance there. And I think, man, balance is huge for safety guys too. Because I get trapped behind this desk and trapped on the road. Feel like I want to say yes to everything that comes my way. So that's another great thing, man, that you already have a sense of awareness for that too. And I agree with you, man. I'm all for it. I think Starner is too. About, man, what are we going to leave behind? Because there's a day coming, we're all out of here, and man, what will they say when we're gone? Will we have made an impact, or will it have
Yeah.
just been dust in the wind, so to speak, man? And who can you set up? The guy that I took over for set me up very well. He encouraged me a lot. I had a chance to go on the road with him for 2 months before he retired, and so I had a front row seat for a pretty good blueprint of how things have to be done. And you're right, succession planning is something we're not good at a lot of our organizations. And uh, kudos again to you for that, man. I like it. I like the trajectory you're on. I think you're doing great stuff.
No,
I
everything
appreciate
that we
that.
talked about is about developing people and caring for people and being an advocate for people and helping people succeed. And, when you get in a safety role, you think your job is just to either keep people from getting hurt or keep the company from, facing liability. But we find ourselves in a situation because we interact with people, because we develop people. We're trying to solve societal issues. I mean, you got the mental health epidemic that's out there. That's not, we tend to talk about, the construction trade has got, the worst performance when it comes to folks, dying by suicide or opioid addictions. And what is it about construction? But I don't think I think it just manifests itself in the construction environment because of the folks, blue collar workers that are out there trying to make a living. They're dealing with high prices. They're dealing with all these societal issues. They're trying to make a living for their family. There's no, there's a lack of some of these more moral fibers being stitched into our young people. Whether it's a lack of a strong male figure in their lives, or maybe the wrong male figure in their lives. We end up trying to put out a bunch of fires that ain't have nothing to do with occupational health or safety and health.
And man, Jose, you said something earlier that I latched on to when you talked about one of the things that you're telling these younger guys or even your son. And it was the first thing you said, and I thought it was huge that it was the first thing you said. Mike and I discussed this a lot. As safety professionals, some things I think that we're not good at, that we're trying to get better at, is acknowledging first all the good. And you said that. You said you give props to the things they're doing right. And so I think definitely moving into 2026 again, we have to acknowledge the pressure these guys are under, all the expectations that Mike and I and several others are talking about. If you just look at what these guys are exposed to and the hazards, and then taking a minute back to the human nature side of it, Mike, every now and then it's everybody likes a good, nice job.
Mm-hmm.
And what that can do to somebody's motivation, what that can do to their psyche, what that can do to their drive to keep doing more, not for production, but just as a person. And that's something men aren't good at doing. And we didn't get a lot of good jobs and the hugs and how are yous and I'm proud of yous, which is a problem. And I don't think you should coddle anybody, but man, I think we definitely need to highlight the wins and celebrate the wins a lot better than we do. So
Mm-hmm.
you already seem to have that on your radar too, brother.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think I noticed the difference with we had a crew where I was in charge of, and they swapped a couple of kids around, and one of them, the crew, I guess they said, "Hey, we've tried to get this kid, and we just can't seem to. Maybe you can do something with him." So they asked for one of my guys and transferred him over to me, and that is one of the things that I invested in. So every time that everybody learns different. So every time he did something good, I would be like, "Hey, that's good," and I would point out some of the things that he needed to work on. But the first thing I said is, "Hey, you did this good. Here's what you need to hold on to that. That part's good. Now work on this." And you could tell the difference in the way he responded. I mean, everybody seemed to think that kid, man, he's no good. He don't listen. He doesn't, every time I try to explain it to him. But when I sat down with him, I said, "What is it that you're looking for? What is it that you need?" And he told me, he said, I don't like it when people yell at me. I just shut down. said, okay, you know, we'll work on that. But doesn't mean that I'm going to be, you know, because I mean, line work is still line work. You know, that's, again, this, it's still a man's job, I feel like. I mean, that, you know, I know that's not trying to be sexist or anything, but, you know, I
got to be
again,
resilient, I think is what you're saying. This job can be tough, and you got to be resilient. You got to let some things roll off your back. You got to understand what things are important, what things are just noise.
Yes. Right. And so, but I did see the difference with him. And every time I would say something, you know, just, hey, man, you're doing a good job. Keep up the good work. You could tell the difference from in the morning. Hey, I appreciate you putting the water. I mean, you know, it's something that they should already know anyway. They should do that. Something so simple as to, hey, I appreciate you putting the ice and the waters in the cooler. Appreciate that. Hey, let's go. And I could see the next task would just be like, you know, he thrived for it. And so, you know, that just came to one more thing, and he looked for that. And then next thing you know, everybody wanted this kid. It's like, man, he turned into a good employee.
And that's an unwritten challenge for leadership and supervisors, is to identify those guys' strengths and weaknesses and how they operate. And you may have a guy that doesn't care to be yelled at, all right, but you may have another guy who you can yell at him all day. Don't matter. Water off a duck's back. And what motivates people, that's something that leadership gets the opportunity to do, is find those things that motivate them on a different level, and then find what motivates us collectively as a crew and as a company. And that's the challenge. That's the work. The heavy lift of it. When I had a chance to be a foreman, a guy told me, he said, man, there's a file cabinet at the co-op full of all the answers of all that technical stuff. He said, the hardest thing you're going to have to do is deal with people. And he was exactly right, man. And so I do a leadership thing, you know, where I talk about the analogy of right away. 500 kVA needs a path cut this big. Number 6 duplex needs a path cut this big. And we don't cut transmission all the same way. It's all the need of whatever they have. And another thing, sorry, Mike, I'm getting excited again.
No, I love it. Let's see it.
I know we got to jump off, but you asked him what he wanted. Man, who's asking these guys what they need? Who's really asking them one-on-one? Right, or even as a company, or even as a crew, who's going, what do you need? What do you want?
Voice of the customer.
Who asked us? I don't know if we had a lot of guys back in the day asking us what we want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now that's you know, I see that with my son now. He calls me and he says, Dad, this is what we did. I mean, he sounds excited, you know, he just started a year and a half in, and he sounds excited. But I remind him that when he started, in 3 months in, he said, Dad, this is a lot. It's a lot to learn. It's a lot. It ain't gonna stop. If you really are, you know, wanting to be great, it ain't gonna stop. Don't stop. But he sounds excited about what he learns every day, and you know, that's all it takes. When you have somebody on your crew, when you have somebody just say, hey, we set the pole, acknowledge that part. If he operated it and said it, man, celebrate that. All it takes is just to be like, hey, I really appreciate you taking your time on that, man. You did a great job. Acknowledge it in front of everybody. If you got to rebuke it on the side when nobody sees it. You know, nobody likes that. So, good.
So we're getting up here against the new year, and, you know, so 2025 was kind of a tough one. If we look back at the industry itself, and I'm sure you guys have stories in your local areas where you've been dealing. What are some of the things that you guys, you know, really felt like were some problem areas, some hot spots from 2025 that you're going to try to tackle in 2026?
Go ahead, Jose.
Well, for us, I think for me is definitely the driving. I don't know. I think there's a lot more issues with driving now. Little things here and there, especially in this role. You know, you see it all. You see all the incidents. You see all the accidents. You hear from other co-ops. As a lineman, you're condensed to really sometimes even for us, there's 4 districts. You're condensed to just hearing it in that district sometimes. But, part of what I'm trying to work on is to teach them the why. We had a young kid just come in. I mean, he got hired on maybe a month and a half in, and he was able to drive not even a CDL truck. It's just a regular small truck. And he ended up having a fender bender with somebody that turned into a huge issue. But, to me, part of it felt like he was, he felt bad. He didn't want to get fired, but he didn't understand, okay, listen, this is a huge deal. Nobody got hurt, but that's $80,000 in damage. So, he's got to be aware of that situation, and maybe the understanding of why we're trying to worry about this is that's what I'm going to work on to see if they can understand that part, which I feel like that's a huge challenge.
Yeah, getting them to understand the impact of whether it's an injury or vehicle accident or any of those things, the direct and indirect costs associated with it, and then all the things that the organization has to do to move forward. And that's a tough conversation to have, right? Because the guys, they're looking for an opportunity to call you out, like you don't really care about me, you're just worried about the company not losing money. And I mean, in safety, you have 2 jobs, right? You got to protect your workers and you got to protect the company, and that's a delicate balance. So how do you take care of that, Michael, on your end of the house, and that balance?
Well, one thing I would say is you nailed it about if they're gonna know the true impact, somebody has to tell them, and somebody has to show them. And that's like internal job shadowing. That's like taking them up the hall and letting them see the ripple effect all the way down to the member. And that's why we're here. It's the member. And so I think that's good. It'd be a learning experience that, in the right setting with a guy like you and him, maybe when some of the dust settles, that it's a learning moment. And we use it to teach everybody or train everybody or create awareness for everybody from that perspective. That's a failing safe moment. That's what near misses are for. That's what these fender benders are for. That's not the guy losing his job, or that's not hitting him over the head 3 days off and you're the worst thing ever. No, that's the old playbook, so to speak. So yeah. I think it's a learning opportunity for sure, man.
One of the things that I might need help with this, and you guys might help me perfect this, is I had an idea. You all know the Plinko game? I think I'm saying it right.
Yeah,
the one where you drop and it just falls wherever it falls, right?
Right.
I was telling my son that don't go through the day like you start like that, dropping the thing up top, and you just fall where it falls. But here's what I thought about. Those pegs could be that, which pegs you can guide that if you really wanted to. You could guide, I thought about buying the actual game and putting the, at the bottom, which I'm working on, but, putting maybe some noodles, the pool noodles to kind of slide through there and say, okay, I'm going to prevent this, so I'm going to slide and guide it to where I want it to be. That's really the way it should, could happen. And I told my son, you could take the pegs out, and what those pegs could be is, safety awareness, or checking my mirrors, or making sure that I walk around, all those things. The pegs is what you guide. So.
Oh man, you heard it here first, folks.
Yeah.
The new latest and greatest safety incentive program. But Jose, think about this too, man. I love that game. Shout out, Price is Right. You think about where you start, man. Go with that. Where do you start? Well, everybody wants that 50 grand down in the middle, so they would always start in the middle. And so where your day starts, where your career starts, where you place your chip on the board, man. If you see those pegs, if those pegs are hazards, if you see those things, Well, I ain't going over there. I'm going over here.
Mhm.
So you could play with how much that impacts where you start too. Oh, I love that.
Yeah,
I'm
everybody who's listening to this episode, make sure you put in the chat here in the comments that
yes,
some ideas for Jose. Jose, I want to see that, man, at one of these
yes,
presentations, man. I want to see that at the NRECA Safety Leadership Summit, or I want to see that
Yeah,
at the Incident Prevention Utility Safety Conference. One of those
oh
kind
yeah.
of, or T&D Power Skills. One of those places. I want to see the Plinko game get played out because I think
If
that's
you
a great
think
way to demonstrate it.
if you think I'm not telling
yeah,
Ken Mackin about that, you are wrong, bro. I'm telling him about
I
that
do
and
have
telling him to put
a
you on
picture, of
the
course, with
agenda.
yeah, absolutely. The picture that of course, I didn't draw it. I mean, now we got AI to help with all that, but I wish I could be more. Right now, I'm having technical difficulties
Hey,
with my
send it to
side,
me
but
and I'll send it to me in an email if you want, and I'll add it. I'll edit it into this video so the folks can see it as we're talking.
yeah. But they created it. It actually is a safety plinko on the top of it, and then again, I think I've been sharing my faith here enough to I've said some things, but there's a part of what it says in there. It says, so then let us not be careless, but use good judgment as to how we live. That's in Ephesians. The prudent see danger and take refuge. That's in Proverbs. So I put that in there, but but at the plinko at the top, the chip, it says decision. And then at the very bottom, it says safety job, near miss injury, life-changing event. And some of those pegs kind of say poor communication, fatigue, complacency, skipping, the tailboard, rushing. And so part of it is, do we remove the hazards? I mean, I'm sure you guys have all seen the Swiss cheese analogy that everybody uses. Well, this is similar to that. You either add or take out the pegs, or you can guide it the way you want it. But
It's a much better because I always had an issue with the Swiss cheese. It makes it too simplistic. You know, oh,
yeah,
if I just stack these things up in a row, but I think what you're saying is more how real life is. It's kind of random. Once you let go of the plinko chip or whatever it is, it's going to bebop through those pegs. However, the conditions around it orient it to go. So those can
yeah,
be positive things or negative things. Your pool noodles, and where you start. Dude, I think that's gonna. I can't wait to see it.
I love that.
yep,
I'm geeking out, man. You have got me excited, on a rainy Monday after Christmas here in South Carolina. I'm stoked, man, for you to see where that goes. I'm a Mike and I know this. Like, man, the more you can engage with people like that,
Mhm.
that's another wave of the future. It's not death by slideshow. It's not the same old song and dance. So that's awesome, bro. That is awesome. Keep going with that momentum. Keep going with those ideas. They're not dumb. They're not cheesy. They're
Mm-mm.
powerful. They're going to make a difference. I had a friend share with me, and if we'll connect after this too. But man, I've got some games that she had that she shared with me from CLCP Group, Mike, that are Jeopardy, Wheel of Fortune, um, Family Feud, you name it, just to create some type of change in an environment where we're teaching and training to create engagement. A little cheesy, but man, listen, it doesn't matter because you said it, Jose. One guy, if I can get one guy,
That's it.
that's another thing about, the analogy for the Sunday conversation and the gospel too. Just one guy. If I can get one guy, the ripple effect that it could have on there is
yep.
so. This great stuff, man. I love it, Mike. This has been a good chat, dude.
Well, it's been a perfect way
Yeah.
to finish out this year, and so new safety people they get hung up on. Am I going to be able to memorize all the regulations? Am I going to be able to make the right call? Is it a preventable or non-preventable motor vehicle accident? Am I going to be able to come up with some initiative that's going to change the world? And everything that Jose talked us through today, I think is really the answer, right? It's following your faith, it's connecting with people, it's establishing some sort of purpose amongst the crew, how to be selfless and humble, find opportunities to to sacrifice your time or your effort or your money to help build some authenticity with your people. And you said it, Jose, do it with excellence. And so that's really, I think, going to be the title of this episode, because I can't think of a better way to title it.
And Jackson EMC's lucky to have you, bro.
Oh man.
They don't know what they got.
Well, I hope this isn't like, just a fleeting conversation that we're having. I want you to be one of my friends and somebody that when we run into each other, we give a big hug and catch up and figure out what you've been doing recently and what you can do to help the industry out. That's sort of in the back of my head. I'm always trying to pull little nuggets out that I can share with everybody, because I think the high tide raises all the ships is the best way to go about it. And part of the process here on the PeerCast is to help folks that are new to the role or maybe struggling in the role understand they're not alone. So, Jose, I'll let you finish this out, man. Any final thoughts for us?
Yeah, well, you were in the safety summit. I think we established that when I met you at Kansas City for the rodeo, and man, I think I wrote down so much stuff on my phone. I had so many notes from everybody, just a lot of good information. But a couple of things that I took from that day was he was talking about the egg, the carrot, and the coffee bean. With I can't remember his name right now. It's just, but he said that the environment's the same, but what you do to the environment is what makes a difference. Don't let the environment change you. So, in all this, the industry is rough. I mean, it really is. The environment, the heat, the cold, you got to be a listening ear, and you got to listen to, sometimes you even have to be a psychiatrist with them, and, you got to do all that. But the environment either can change you or you can change it. And you can either be hard like the egg, mushy like the carrot, or you can be the coffee bean. And that really stuck with me, trying to be the coffee bean, trying to be the change instead of the environment changing me. So
that's perfect. Well, all right, my friends. Well, thanks for everybody who's joined us today. This is our last episode for 2025. Make sure you join us for 2026. We're going to have some more guests like Jose here that are out there trying to make a big difference. And this is it for me. I'll see y'all. Micah, any last words? You good?
Man, it's just a pleasure to meet you, bro. Heard a lot about you. Seen you on LinkedIn a few times, and Mike and I were really trying to get this conversation happening sooner than later, but I think it's perfect right now. Mm-hmm. And I think your heart and your passion are going to take you to limitless spaces, man, and you're going to affect a lot of people, and you already have. So just honored to have you on our PeerCast. Appreciate you and what you're about. We'll help you any way we can on the back end. And thanks to everybody who's been listening to this nonsense that we're trying to throw out there for a few months now. And it's been really exciting, and I can't wait to see everybody again in January. So thanks, everybody. Jose, thanks, brother. Be safe.
Thank you. You guys too. Bye.